share their resources and screw us over and exploit us more and just brutalize our community, we need to counter respond to that by organizing ourselves. For example, in Oxnard, we responded by running our campaign, independent campaign. We don't support the Democrats, we don't support the Republicans, we're independent, straight out. Okay, our organization, Barrio, we said, you know what? Because they believe that we can't govern ourselves. They believe that. They truly, honestly believe that we can't run ourselves. We can. And we know how to use those resources. Look at what the compañera said earlier. 1% of the police budget, those agencies would provide all those things. There's no reason why we can't do that. And we should do that. So we said, all right, let's run. So we ran and one of the things that we said is that we were going to cut the police budget by $1 million and give it to youth programs and provide jobs. Obviously, I'm going to say we didn't win, right? But we forced the rest of the panelists, the rest of the politicians to start addressing the things that we're saying. Because we protest, we're outside, we're coming in, and they're like, okay, yeah, all right. But when we're at the same level as they are, jamming them up at their level and actually becoming more organized than they were like, whoa. So they started addressing the whole youth program, more parks. So they started shifting resources over. In other words, we were victorious in that sense. We weren't in it for the position. We were in it to affect change. So, and we did. And that was just a real small. With $4,000, the newspaper said they were like, whoa, because what we say is we ran out of time, not money. Because we only had 2 months to $4,000 in 2 months. They calculated that we were spending 52 cents per vote or something. And the status quo, the landowners and the police propelled, sponsored politicians that they put there, because Oxnard is a landowner town and is a police town and a military town. And they've been running it since 1903. Nobody has really challenged them. And this was like one of our first attempts. We don't want to erase history. There has been attempts in the past, and we learn from them. In other words, many people have challenged it, but in this new century, we were like the first ones to jam them up like that. And they're like, whoa. Now when we walk in the door, they go, man, these people got 7,000 votes with $4,000. And they were spending $1.50, $1.75 per vote. So we ran out of time, not money. We just had to we could do this. We could organize ourselves to take power. To take power, we need to take power. We need to capture those resources. We didn't say there should be no excuse why that 1% shouldn't be happening right now. And we commend the efforts of the folks here when they ran that slate of 8 candidates for the neighborhood council. That's one way. Always, though, be accountable to an organization and the community, though. In other words, if you see somebody that's just on their own, hey, vote for me, I have the solutions, you kind of have to question that. But if you see somebody that's been around for a long time and is tied to organization and has shown and proven that they will be there for us, then that's what we will get behind. On our own terms, though, right? The Chicano Mexicano Prison Project. We write to over 300 prisoners on a monthly basis. Well, we send a newsletter to them. But on there has the history, the culture. We had a Chicano studies, what we call Raza studies program, where we send in, and it's becoming much more difficult, by the way, to get our newsletters in there. So the prisoners would get the piece of information, even if they were in the hole, or they were in the regular general yard. They would read it, and they'd pass it around, and then we had like a little quiz. And they cut it out, and they take the quiz and send it back. And then we would then resend back at one point after they took so many of those quizzes, we would send certificates in. Say, hey, congratulations, you have just received a Raza Studies degree, right? University level, right? We would say, and those within the prisons, the information and things like that are so valuable. So they're like they share it. We share it amongst each other because they're taking all that stuff away. They'll put a TV up though, so you just be sitting there, like just kind of getting sucked into it. But they won't put revolutionary material. It doesn't educate us. It keeps us where they want us, which is disorganized and not having a revolutionary vision. Okay. In Oxnard, we're going to launch a campaign again Because right now everybody's shifting into, like even during the Obama time, right? We were saying, oh, you know what? Look who's funding Obama. It's going to be the same thing. And now people are seeing that. Right now, in our community, there's a shift, again, because it's an election cycle, to abandon working with our youth, putting all the resources and getting out the vote and things like that. We're like, no, we got to stay focused here and organize ourselves. Keep building the organization, the resistance. Really, we're resisting. And we are calling for, and people are like, it's like a term that everybody still is afraid of, revolution. Revolution simply means we're changing the way things are. And the way things are right now, and the way that things are headed on a global scale are unsustainable. Unless we provide, because we believe in socialism, okay, we need to say that. We're honest about where we see ourselves. We believe in socialism. We want to have free health care. You know, not throwing old ladies on the street because they don't have it. We want to have free university all the way, K through university for free. It should be free. There's no excuse for it. And we believe through, I just got back myself from compañera Kelly, she's back here. We just got back from Cuba, and we've been going. And they're doing it, despite the fact that there's an imperialist blockade on it. They're paying 3 times more to get some of the school supplies and the medical supplies, but they're still providing for every single person. To the best of the capacity. World class education. Literacy free zones. Reading is very important. You know, we're talking about having a campaign to have literacy free South Central LA. If we do that, that means we're reading. That means we're stopping to watch the TV and we're reading history. We're reading about revolution. We're reading about social struggle. We're reading about how to free ourselves. The young man in the film said it, if you had one thing, what would you say? Freedom. We want freedom. And so that's what we're working on. And I'll be honest with you, and I was talking to a compañera earlier, we get exhausted, right? We looked at each other and we said, man, it was 6 years ago when we were together, and we're like, we've made only incremental steps. But you know what? That's the way it is. It's a long, arduous trek towards what we want. But we have to start building it. Even though, like the way we said it, and we analyzed it. The last 4 decades, we went through a survival period because the police came, counterintelligence program, and they shot down Panthers, Berets, Chicano Moratorium. They closed down, they shut down revolutionary movements. But you can't, like as Chet said, right? You can't kill the revolution. So we survived. And those of us that survived shared the knowledge. Then we are reconstituting ourselves and getting back together again and building revolution again. They hit us with a hard hit, and during between 65, 75, by 75, there was a mass military attack on our social movements for revolution. And we're 4 decades later coming out of that. 1 million people on the streets for an attack against undocumented workers. That said, that you can guarantee that set the institution, the state, whatever you want to call it, in motion to defeat those movements. Because we were becoming radicalized, right? We're blocking streets, we're to arrest us, we don't care. We're going to fight for our freedom. And there now, as you see, Obama, supposedly who's going to come and save the people, hope change, he just signed $600 million for more permanent troops at the border. Permanent. He wrote it in there. $600 million, 2 drones, unmanned drones, $15 million each. So we have a lot of work to do, compañeros. We have a lot of work to do. And I look around, and we've had events where I can honestly say it was me and another person. We had a film screening. It was 2 of us in there. This was years ago, and we're like, play the movie, come on, man. We kept it going, right? And somebody passed by, and somebody kind of sat in for a little bit and walked away. In other words, we were not demoralized. We were not demoralized, because if there's one of us left, then they lost. Because what we're talking about is inevitable. In other words, there's no stopping us. They could build as many prisons they want, but we're like, we just have to organize ourselves. And we're doing it alongside a lot of other organizations that are out there, fighting for what we're fighting for.